we'll carry on like this then.
Yeah.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, Morena.
Morena, yeah, kia ora.
Welcome.
Kia ora.
Welcome to the Moko Journey. And as always, it's a pleasure, of course, to have you here. And I'm always grateful anytime Kaita finds the time to be on this series. And so, present yourself.
Kia ora, atamarie, kia tātou, atamarie ki te ao. Te tahira kia koe te tuahine I tō pohiri mai ki au, kia noho tahi mai kia koe, me tēnei ka papanui tēnā koe. Ko Graham Tipene taku ingoa, he mokopuna no Ngāti Hine, Ngāti Whātua, Ngāti Haua, Ngāti Kahu me Ngāti Manu. Kai roto Ngāti Whātua ahau e nohona, tipu mai au konei, he ringa toi, he tutu nui ahau. So kia ora to everybody, especially to you, sister, for the invitation to come. Even though my response was really slow and late.
Okay.
My name is Graham Tipene. I'm a full-time designer, artist, moko artist, out of Aotearoa, and my tribal affiliations are Ngāti Whātua, Ngāti Hine, Ngāti Kahu, Ngāti Manu, and Ngāti Haua. And I live in my tribal lands of Ngāti Whātua, in my village, and do my work from here. So yeah, kia ora.
Kia ora. So what's the name of your village?
Orake. Yeah, and we're based right in Auckland City.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
I can see the Sky Tower from my house.
Okay. I've never been there. It's actually a couple of years that I'm trying to come to Aotearoa, but anytime I try, I realize that I'm too poor because yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing.
It's
So
always
I
the
will,
culture.
of course. Yeah, it's the flight actually the biggest thing.
Yeah, what is it, like 18 hours, one flight or something like that, eh?
Yeah, I saw that overall it would be like around 26, 27 hours from here. It's a long journey, but it's not that. I mean, once you're in, I believe that you do it. But it actually, it's pretty expensive as well, too. So you need, and even because in my mind I have the idea, or if I go there I need to stay there for a while, like it's not 1 week trip, even because I would not be able to do anything in 1 week. So yeah, let's start. And while I was preparing for this kōrero, I've decided to do things a little bit more differently than the previous episodes. So I would like to start with a very basic question, but it's not so basic, which is, what is Moko? Because I believe that for people who are not in Te Ao Māori, is like here in Italy, is really difficult to grasp the depth of Moko, of the essence of it. And because here, of course, is usually approached like a tattoo and is compared to a tattoo, but it is different. So
Yeah, Big question. Big question. You know, as with anything we do, it's based in historical referencing, an understanding of genealogy, storytelling, but also in its true essence, moko is the retelling of DNA within a person. And that's lost on the Western world. People go in to a tattoo studio and say, "Oh, can I get number 36 in red?" And that's not moko. And so you'll see a lot of people walking around with tattoos they've got in South America or throughout Eastern Europe or Europe, saying, "I've got a Polynesian tattoo." And purely because of the fact they didn't get it either in the Pacific or by a Pacific person, how's red flags for us. And then if you go even further than that, digging down to the right person. And so just yesterday I had a sister of mine come in and we finished her bodysuit, her legs and her bum and her back. And she could have gone to a number of artists within her family, and big names too. She's from the north. There are a lot of people she could have gone to, but because her and I grew up together, she says, "I only want one person to do this work, and that's you." And so finding the right person, either through your own genealogy, your connection through genealogy and whakapapa, or relationships, is also another thing that we take into consideration for moko. So the short answer is moko is DNA bored into skin and told storytelling through skin, and is really personal. So yeah, that's the short answer.
Yeah, but you are right. Even because when you were talking, I was thinking that for my experience, at least in my family, we don't really keep track of our genealogy. Like it's we arrive to remember our grandma maybe, and that's it, and it stops there. So we don't really keep track of that. And also I believe that, and it's something that I think about really often, I think the sense of community overall is pretty much lost. So, and this also relates to that. So it would be difficult for us to put that into markings, as well as the fact that I believe that we pretty much lost a lot of parts of maybe the cultures that were in our regions, in our lands. So yeah,
I think also, you say that you it would be hard to put genealogy into markings from your people. Our markings are genealogy, yes. There's also concepts that we use as narrative for how we design the markings. And so the return of moko could be a concept someone could take on for receiving their piece. Say, for instance, I'm the first person in my genealogy to receive the facial markings. This design is related to how I am bringing these markings back for future generations within my people. That could be a concept that we could use to create a narrative. Or you know what I mean? Like, it conceptually, if it resonates well with the true essence of what moko is, then it works.
Okay.
Then it works. So conceptually, coming up with concepts that we could use as narrative to drive design is another thing. And you have to be able to linguistically weave concept and design. Otherwise, it's going to be lost on people. Yeah,
You mean like being able to translate what, like the story into
bang
the
on,
design?
bang on. And the translation of story comes with an understanding of language, an understanding of self, an understanding of community, an understanding of genealogy, an understanding of your landscapes, your oceans, your mountains, the way, the types of animals in your community, the types of food your people historically used to eat and continue to eat. All of these amazing thoughts and knowledge base that come into moko play. That the simplest design will have a massive conceptual thinking to it.
I don't know if you like. I was talking in one of the previous episodes with another kaita. His name is Keanu Tutamor Emmanuel, and he was saying that
I know, Keanu. I love that
personally,
man.
yeah,
How dare he be so handsome?
true. but and he was saying about creating new patterns, and of
Yep.
course in creating new patterns, you, as you said, you look around, you look at your environment, and also he said maybe I've created that pattern and for that person specifically,
Yep.
and then who knows, maybe his nephew will have it as well. So you mean that when you say something?
That as well.
Oh, okay.
Because we can also go back and conceptually come up with design narrative, but also have a genealogy. We can have design narrative, and then that design narrative links in with the design work that has a genealogy that relates to the narrative. So yeah. So a lot of our designs will be able to connect to narrative. Like, oh yeah, this design comes from this area because of this story, and it connects to this person this way. And then, of course, like Keanu was saying, sometimes you come up with new designs, however we do. Sometimes we intentionally go to create new designs. Sometimes the design just flows, and we know why we're doing it. So, for instance, I created a design called the kururangi, and that came from me listening to the way a person spoke and the rhythm of his language and how it flowed off his tongue. And his name was Kururangi. And so I named that design Kururangi. The whole time while I was drawing, I could hear his rhythm, I could hear his intonations, everything. And I thought, this has to be connected to him somehow. And so when we did his bodysuit, we put that design into his bodysuit. When I did his face, we put the design on his face as well, parts of it, just to connect him directly to that design and my appreciation for listening to the level of his language that is quite lost on young people these days. But yeah, so that sort of stuff.
That's incredible. It's no, really, it's beautiful. Even because, as we said before, the tattoo culture here works in a different way, as you said. Or you walk in a tattoo studio and say, oh, I want this, or you just bring a design, or maybe someone will draw something for you. But it's more, as I said, and I have tattoos myself, but it's a different thing, because it's like more of a sticker. Of course you can give a meaning to it, it has a meaning to you, but it's also the way, not only under the realm of meanings, but also in the aesthetical part is different, because it's just like a sticker that doesn't really flow with your body and your anatomy. So it remains something always pretty much foreign in some kind of way to
Yeah,
your
yeah,
body.
yeah. Yeah, and it's funny. Like we will have people, the way people relate to their own tattoos has moko aesthetics to it. Partly. This tattoo of this tree represents the tree my father used to swing, push me on the swing. That in essence is still partly moko. The thinking is still partly moko, but the design and the knowledge around the design work is different. And why we put certain designs somewhere and other designs we wouldn't put somewhere, or on people, or for various reasons. So yeah. Like we can't discount people's personal journeys with their tattoos, and I will never say, but it's not moko. And even some Pacifica designed stuff that claim to be Māori, I'm just like, oh, right. You just actually have to think about, just because you Googled it and it said Māori doesn't make it Māori. And you would have seen it all over the internet, and YouTube's full of it, and Instagram's full of it. So.
This is a big topic in itself, and it's of course a big topic on my page, and the reason why actually is the reason why of this project, because as I always say, here in Italy, I grew up always hearing, oh, I had a Maori tattoo and things like this, but those were like I don't know, mixed Polynesian style tattoos. I always find myself very confused on how to describe them, but are those kind of tribal tattoos? Who knows what? And they are very famous. I know a few people who have them and call them Maori. So yeah, it's a pretty big thing here. And then when you show what Moko really looks like, they are like, it doesn't look like
Yeah.
it at all.
Yeah. And it's also a massive sign that people are comfortable with not doing their research, or people are comfortable with, in essence, mediocrity.
Yeah.
Because they haven't actually looked into it more. They're okay to just receive what they perceive as moko, or what they perceive as a Māori tattoo, instead of actually doing the hard work and removing Western thinking.
Yeah.
Because that's moko. That's moko. You want to do the research. You want to look into the design work. You want to look into the history. You want to look into, and I don't mean get a PhD in it. Just actually do a bit of research. Because that's moko. Moko is excellence. I have a process in my house in my studio, where we don't go into the studio until we've had a cup of tea, shared conversation, had some biscuits, muffins, or something to eat, because that is also moko. The relationship we're building with our clientele, who walk in as a client and leave as family, because that is moko. So yeah.
I mean, because I don't know if it's really like this, but in some way that moko also binds you and the client together in some kind of way forever, or at least
Forever. I have totally. I have a few people who I will drop everything for because of my relationship through moko with. Because I am connected to those people forever. And we know, right, once this is done, there is no way we are saying no to each other. You need me, I'm there. I need you, you're there. That's moko. And it's a strong, powerful, unsaid rule, not rule, but unsaid sort of concept within the Moko fraternity. And I have a few people that when they call, I go. And yeah, their skills have stabbed my skin. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really powerful, as you said. But do you think, and now maybe, I don't know if it can sound provocative or what, but do you think that in Aotearoa, all the Moko artists perceive this about Moko, like have this relationship with Moko and give Moko to their clients with this kind of depth, with this kind of knowledge and presence, I would say.
Yeah, if we're doing, I'll be careful how I respond to this because
I know.
there are a lot of people, Māori too.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of Māori doing tattoo work and calling it moko, and they are in it purely for the financial gains. Whereas there are a whole bunch of people, and I've seen some of them in your podcast and your videos, who understand the deeper stuff, who understand that actually now that I've pierced this person's skin, we are connected. And the reason for that is because once you pierce someone's skin, their genealogy is exposed before them and after them. You have opened up a portal to this person's bloodline and DNA. Not everybody gets to do that. Not everybody has access to that. That's why this is such a sacred thing, because we are given access to a place not many people get to be part of. We see blood coming from a person's skin, and that is, in essence, an exposure of genealogy. And also, so that's why I say there will be a lot of Moko artists that, yes, do understand that connection, and a lot of tattooists who claim to be Moko artists who don't. But I don't roll in those other circles.
Yeah.
Give me the realness every day.
Yeah, but because I was thinking also what makes these artists, these tattooers, even if they are Maori, what differentiate them to Tauiwi tattooers who do Maori tattooing, because lately I've seen a lot of them here in Italy who are not doing the tribal thing. They are actually doing something that is more similar to Moko than the tribal generic tattoo kind of thing. But of course you can see that it's not Moko, but it's more towards that side. And they claim that is Maori tattooing. So what differentiate them in that case? Because they both don't have that depth, that presence when they.
The depth of knowledge is a big thing for us, and we've seen it all over social media. There are people claiming to be Moko artists who are actually tattooists with, it's a Māori guy with a tattoo gun, and we see it, we know it, but understanding conceptually how to connect design to a person's history and story, that's something that's kind of lost. But also, like I said in the beginning, linguistically, you have to be able to carve linguistically to understand what people are connecting to. That, yes, this design means this, but there's this whole depth of knowledge that comes with that. And you can Google this top part, but that part you actually have to live.
Okay.
So this part is accessible. What's not accessible is everything below that. And you can only access that by relationships, by And I don't mean relationships with people, relationships with your land, relationships with your values, relationships with your water, relationships with your science, relationships with your understanding of self. You'll see people with our markings, especially in Aotearoa, and you can see that they just walk a little bit different because they have this depth of knowledge about their markings, because they have this depth of knowledge about their environment, about their relationships to people, with people, because of people, about their relationships and understanding of water, about their relationship and understanding of science. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty much why, and I say it for the people who will see this episode, this is why it's impossible for tattooer here in Italy or wherever, maybe in Europe and in the West, to be able to do moko. It's impossible, right? Because
Yeah.
they can't have it.
Yeah, and we're getting quite sick of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested how the debate around that, not debate, but this topic is discussed inside Aotearoa, inside, I believe, the circle of Kaita. That's interesting for
Yeah.
me to know.
Oh, it's funny. At the tattoo convention not long ago, I was a judge, and there was one particular tattooist from Europe doing traditional Pacific style, and there were a few Pacific artists who were supporting him, majority, and a majority not supporting him. And I looked at the difference between the supporters and the non-supporters. And the those of us who didn't support him were grounded in our culture, grounded in our understanding of self, grounded in our understanding of relationships with our environment and our people and our communities. A lot of the people supporting were less connected. Therefore, we're okay with letting a non-tatau artist or moko artist do their markings. And I will never be okay with that. Personally, I will never be okay with that. They can, I will never be okay with that. Because they don't get us. They get to use their Western privilege and not live the darkness we've lived. Not lived the language reclamation we have to go through. The researching into our historical landmarks. They don't have to do any of that. They see these markings and do these markings, and then they get paid for it. But what they don't understand is the struggle we've had to reclaim our language, the struggle we've had to have our design aesthetic throughout our cities so that our future generations of our people can see themselves in the environment. They will never have to worry about that. Yeah. Whereas it is a constant on our mind because the future generations of our people and future generations of moko artists need to know that there is a bigger picture out there outside of seeing a design, putting it into someone's skin and getting paid for it. So it's a big topic here. There are some moko artists who I actually admire and love who have friends who learned the old way, and that's fine. It's when they start spouting that they're experts in our practice, it's like, then that's not fine. You're actually an expert.
You mean that their friends are not Māori?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're friends, and they're okay. It's the ones that are claiming to be experts in the Pacific culture, in the Māori culture. It's like, nah, bro. show me your scars. Show me your scars. You know?
Yeah.
Your scars will show me how much you know about us. Because we have scars from our homes being burnt from the government, our people being removed from land. These are all parts of things we are learning about and understanding, and that we bring to moko. That someone who has never had to worry about that stuff just doesn't get. They just don't understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my little rant.
No, but I totally I grasp it, just because actually and this came out also in some other episodes, but I was adopted, so I'm not originally from Italy. I was born in Crimea, Ukraine.
Wow.
And yeah, and Crimea has a native population which is not Ukrainians or Russians. Yeah, big news. They are Crimean Tatars, and they had to suffer multiple times during their history, because during the Tsarism era, so during the Imperial Russia era, they were persecuted. I mean, at first they had their own state, but then because of wars and things like this, they started to be a part of Imperial Russia. And from that moment on, they had different times in history where they were forced to leave their land. And the apex of it was during the Stalin era, where they were all forcibly deported into Central Asia, and uh, they couldn't go back home. And when they finally could go back to their homes after the collapse of the Soviet Union, of course, their houses were occupied. They couldn't go back to the houses of their ancestors. And the really cool thing also about Crimean Tatars is that they also have a language through weaving. They weave designs and they tell their stories like this in embroidery, in clothes, but also they
Wow.
do, yeah. So pretty much coming from that place, I pretty much understand this
Yeah,
kind of
beautiful.
thing. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. Wow, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome.
You're welcome. And uh, talking about that, listening to a podcast, um, you are adopted too, right?
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
believe that the experience is a bit different. So, because you
Yeah,
mentioned, I
yeah.
believe that in your village, it was pretty much something cultural.
Yeah, yeah. Our adoption practice is called whāngai. Whāngai means to nurture.
Ah,
And when you are a child of whāngai, or a whāngai child, you experience things different to your brothers and sisters, and because you're raised a different way. And so my birth mother and my mother who raised me are actually first cousins.
okay.
And my mother who raised me came to the hospital and took me home, and that was it. I was her child from day one. Well, even before day one, they had agreed while she was still pregnant
Okay.
that I was going to go with this other lady. And it was the other lady, the lady who I call mum, my mother who raised me. She was the one that, yeah, she was real hard. Oh, she was a hard woman, man. But as an adult, you realise why. When you see people not stepping up where they need to, yeah. So she taught me the old way. She was also a product of whāngai. She was an adopted child. She
Ah.
was taken by her grandparents and raised by her grandparents the old way. And then when I came around, she took me and did the same thing. And I was sitting with old people for as long as I can remember. I was sitting with old people, dying people, and dead people.
It's the
Yeah.
best company.
It was just, it was just a constant. We're always going to the hospice to visit dying people or cleaning dead people, and just as part of our being raised that way, it was a bit of an eye opener, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, probably it is a bit strange when you are a child, but I believe that having this relationship with death from that early age, it's I believe that it can be helpful when you grow up, because death can, I mean, is a scary thing if you think about it, but it's, and at least in our society we don't really talk about it. And I lost my grandma a couple of years ago, and it was a really big loss for me. And I remember that I was surprised that we also don't really grieve. I mean, we don't really give the time to grieve the people that we lose, because
Mm,
we are expected to go back to work right away, even if
wow,
you are rubbish inside. Because really, my
wow,
grandma, yeah, um, really, she was a great woman, and I grew up with her for not the majority of the time, but she was always present in my life. I spent a lot of time with her. So when I lost her, she was the first person, really meaningful person that I lost in my life, and I was so surprised that really we don't really stop. We don't give importance to it, because in some kind of way we lost this connection with death,
wow,
right?
wow. Man, yeah, totally different here. When my mother passed, my mother who raised me, I went to work maybe 3 days later, and I got told to go home.
No,
My boss,
here doesn't work like this. Like, you are expected to go to
wow,
work the day after immediately. Yes, they
far out.
tell you, oh, I'm sorry for your loss, but then
But I need this by Friday.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I walked into the office and he looked at me. He's like, no, 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 get out, go home. Like, oh, okay. So yeah, I was like, but and it's just that it's the cultural understanding that
Mm.
we get that the intangible is just as important, if not more so, than the stuff you can grab. Those relationships are built on love, trust, but the intangible, being able to be told to go home means they're so yeah, I love it, and I was like, yep, okay, sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I asked you about the adoption because you mentioned that was something cultural. I was really interested to know the difference between maybe our experiences, because, for example, in my case, adoption is something that is pretty much done even here, but and it was really present in my life growing up, in the sense that I met a lot of other adopted kids, but the majority of them were like me, were adopted from other countries. And in the last years, because I was able to reconnect with my birth family, I was able to to find them and reconnect with them. But I discovered that it was, yes, I gained this new life, this family, but there is also a lot of loss that you don't really process at the moment. But um, I've realized, even like with my therapist, for example, that it leaves a lot of scars inside of you, that while you are a child you find your ways to work with them, but then when you become an adult and you start to realize what the process was, you really come to realize that it's a lot of loss. I mean, for me it was a huge loss, even because I was like, I didn't. I mean, I lost the connection with my relatives by blood, but also the connection with the culture where I was born and the place, of course. And now that I'm adult, it's really hard to gain it back, and it's different because in the same time I grew up in another culture, which is
Yeah, yeah,
good. It's you have both these worlds, the loss and the gain, and they live together with each other. And sometimes I believe for people it's hard also to grasp this thing, people who are not adopted, at least.
yeah, yeah. I loved it.
Yeah, so it
I,
was now go.
I was just going to say it was never a taboo issue in our house. It was common
Mm.
knowledge. I was raised knowing that your mother, those are your brothers, those are your sisters.
But
But I'm raising you.
you grew up uh, talking to them as
Yeah,
well, like
yeah, yeah.
they were
Hanging out.
part.
Part of
Oh,
our life. It was
yeah,
just auntie and uncle, and that was my brothers and sisters, and I knew it
yeah.
constantly. Was told by my mother who raised me, because there were no secrets from her.
Hmm.
That's your parent. That's your mum. There's your father. There's your brother. It was normal, and that helped me.
Mm.
That really helped, because there are people who have gone through that, who are told at 18, 19. Oh, by the way,
I
which
think
is, yeah, it's
not good.
not a good thing. Not a good thing, because then you've got 18, 19 years of questions, or whatever it is. But yeah, and the point of whāngai is to instill understand different understandings than other people. Like you don't, like, if you're struggling, don't take on other people's children. If you have something to offer, take on other people's children. And it could be, I'm going to raise this child with a different worldview,
Mm.
with a different worldview, so that no matter where they go in the world, they are thinking this way. That everything that comes visually, audibly, is processed differently in their head. I think that's the truest expression of whāngai. Yes, you're there to feed them. Yes, you're there to nurture them. Yes, you're there to just raise them. But the point of difference for whāngai is actually, I'm going to be teaching you a whole bunch of different stuff that not everybody will have access to. That's what I believe.
Yeah, and I totally agree, because as well I believe that in some cases of adoption you have people who financially can take a kid, but then emotionally and with the mind they are not really,
Yeah,
they're not really ready, or they
yeah,
can't really give.
yeah. Where's the lady who raised me financially? Never ready. She was the worst with money. We grew up baroque, like we were baroque. But her husband had skills. He could feed an army on a $10 bill. He knew how to dive and fish and hunt and cook and all these different skill sets. And then my mother, who raised me, had another perspective on life. She goes, no, money's not important. Getting your head right, that's important. Understanding who you are, that's important. And so yeah, we grew up broke, but we were very broke, but very educated in the
Very
Māori
rich
world.
in another
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
exactly.
rich in another way. And
Yep.
I will never, I will always appreciate that. Always appreciate that. And I remember getting into the Māori design world. I knew I wasn't going to be a lawyer. I knew I wasn't going to be a doctor or an engineer or any of that. And so at a young age, my mother pushed design into me. Like just, here's a suite of pencils, art stuff. Every year I got something arty. Every year it was a new drawing pad. It was a new set of pens. Every year, and it wasn't the most expensive stuff. It was the cheap, But the point was, she was guiding the way I was thinking. So much so, there was a book printing press in our community, and we went there. And my mother, she says, I want to know how much all your throwaway paper is, because they were tossing lots of paper. And the guy says, come with me. Back room, open the door, and he says, take as much as you want for free. And so we walked out with boxes and boxes and boxes of paper that would have otherwise been thrown away or put into the press or, made into pulp or something. And I had access to this essentially free art paper. For years, we had boxes of this stuff. And that was my mother understanding that this was the way she was going to sharpen our axe. And this axe, I mean. This axe here, this axe here. That was her way of putting me through a different kind of education system. Here's your resource. Now come and sit with these old people. Here's a resource. Now come and sit on this beach. Here's your resource. Now come and sit by this water. And then you take all those understandings into an adult life, and then you start connecting the dots like, my relationship as water is directly connected to this design. This design is directly connected to this person who's just walked into my studio. Yeah, it's really foggy here. The mist is everywhere.
Oh, no.
Yeah, beautiful.
Because is it winter there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's winter here, but New Zealand's winters are quite mild. We don't like it because we're soft. But we're looking at a high of 15 degrees, which is freezing for us.
15 degrees.
Celsius.
Yeah, it's freezing for you.
That's cold for us, yeah.
Okay.
I like the way you chuckled at that.
No, I mean, in Italy, we don't have extremely cold winters, but yeah, we can arrive to 1 degree, 2 degrees. I mean, when I was little, no, even 0, because especially years ago when I was like in middle school or elementary school, and we got the snow really often. Like I remember that, several times they had to close the school because there was too much snow.
We get cold weather. We get to 0 sometimes. Very rarely, not often. I haven't seen 0 degrees in Auckland in a while. We've got to 3, maybe 5, 7. I think 7 was the most recent cold I remember. But if it got any colder, I'm moving to Tahiti.
Okay. So, going back to Moko, so you were telling that story. So this is pretty much, you would say, how you got into your Moko journey. You started in some kind of way.
Yeah. I got pulled out of all sport.
Oh.
And put into art classes on Saturdays.
Wow.
And I was like 9 years old and put into art class. And then in 1994, that movie Once Were Warriors came out. It was the first time I had spotted Moko everywhere on screen. There are other Māori film that had moko, but Once for Warriors was it for me. It was everywhere. And I lost my mind. As an impressionable teenager, I was like, wow, this is beautiful. This is amazing. And I'd made a decision on that's me. That's the path.
Okay.
That's the path. And I remember even as a younger kid, I drew, my mother was the caretaker at a school and give me the keys to the junior block. And I'd have to open the junior block. She gave me 20 minutes to do it. 3 minutes maximum. So I'd spend the rest of the time drawing. And I remember I drew my first motoora. No idea what it was. I just knew, that's a Māori face, tattooed face. That's as much as I had an understanding of. And so seeing it on screen later, I was like, wow. And so finished school. And my first year at university was Māori design. And then,
But because back then, as a kid, you saw those faces in the marae, is because of that you knew what it was, or how did it work?
Yeah, in the marae books, my mum would always give me books.
Okay.
Yeah, books and but yeah, not really the marae, mostly the museum. And that's the other thing. Our marae wasn't even built. Our marae was a garage with 2 carvings in it.
Okay.
2 carvings that were made out of resin.
Oh.
Not actual carvings. And so I didn't really see our design aesthetic outside of the books my mum gave me and our visits to the museum, which I believe was a problem, because we are living in Aotearoa and nothing on the street says we are living in Aotearoa. Everything in Auckland City we were a Western city. We could have been any city anywhere in the world. And our design aesthetic, our design thinking, our design process, our design understanding is the point of difference. And so seeing moko on screen blew my mind. And I thought, right, the job is to expose as much of our design aesthetic to children who are being raised Māori in the city and out of the city, so that they can understand that actually, this is me. I belong here. This city in Auckland with a majority Western influence, when they see my design or our design work throughout the city and on our faces and on our people, they're going to be like, right, I identify with those markings. I identify with those design. I have a place here. My place in this environment is important. So yes, studied Māori design, first year Māori design, 30 years ago.
Yesterday, pretty much.
Yeah. No, just last year.
Last year, yeah. But I feel like that, like after I watched that movie, I went to read a bit of comments on the internet, and I feel like that movie was important for a lot of people, not only for Moko, but also for the story that was portrayed on the screen. Because I saw that a lot of people said, oh, I went to the cinema, I saw it, and it was like, but that's me, that's my life, that's it was really, and it's a devastating, actually, movie.
Totally. It resonated with so many people around the world, and it just so happened to be told from our perspective. But it's not a Māori story. It's a story of, well, and you know what I mean? Like, if you break it down enough, that story could be placed in any culture around the world, any peoples around the world.
Yeah.
But it was told through how we understand it. And I loved it. And here's the funny thing, you know, we talk about relationships and and the importance of relationships for moko. When my father passed, my uncle, who's just a little bit older than me but helped raise me, he flew back to New Zealand and he stayed with me for the week. And then after the funeral, we have like a bit of a get-together, a few drinks. And then the next day, my uncle was here, my brothers, and we're talking, and all our children are in the house. And they're sort of listening to our stories. We're telling stories about the old days growing up. And we start talking about stories that could come out of a movie like Once Were Warriors. And my daughter's like, she comes and sits and starts listening closer. And she goes, "Not my grandfather." I went, "Yeah, your grandfather." She couldn't believe it. She was like, "No, not kōrero. Not Papa Sonny. He was this beautiful old gentle man." I says, "Yeah, for you." But for all of us, he was the scariest human on the planet. And they're like, "No way." I was like, "Yeah." But, the fact that our kids had to hear it through storytelling and not see it with their own eyes, I thought was a massive green flag. But all of those things, that Once Warriors stuff and is what it is, and it shaped a generation and shaped how we think, and it actually shaped how we love, is what I think. It changed how we love. It changed how we showed love. It changed how we showed how we care for others. That's what it did. That's what it did. And people will say, "Monkey see, monkey do." And I'm like, "Oh, wow." And if you educate the monkey, monkey see, monkey gonna not do.
But because that movie, I feel like, revolves around caring, how they both care for each other as a couple, how they care for their kids, that kind of, those relationships.
Really.
But talking about that, the next question is, so how does it feel to be Maori in today's Aotearoa? Do you feel that, even both in the perspective of being a Maori, amongst Maori, but also being a Maori amongst non-Maori, like, are there tensions again, like, still, like, because I look at the political side as well, so I know that these last few years have been pretty chaotic.
Pretty crazy. It's someone asked me, we got this new government. Well, they should be being voted out soon. But when they first got in, they were trying to change policies about our language, about our treaty. And someone asked me, "Oh, Graham, what do you think about that?" And my answer to that was, the people who should be worried are the people who are not prepared. And what I mean by that is, we are preparing our people for war, but the preparation isn't battle formations or battle techniques. The preparation is language. The preparation is understanding of self. The preparation is teaching our children who they are. The preparation is instilling a confidence that oozes from every pore of our people. That's the preparation. If you haven't done that work, you're going to have trouble understanding where you stand in the world. And so building a person's self prior to building anything else, I think is important. And moko is part of that self-identity understanding. Because we've had long protests. People are protesting up and down the country, waving their flag, which is awesome. And then I would always say, now that you've done that march, or now that you've done that hikoi, or now that you've done that protest, go and learn your language. That is the ultimate protest. Go and learn your genealogy. That is the ultimate protest. Go and learn who you are. That is the ultimate protest. Because what's in here can never be taken away. And a person who is absolutely understanding of who they are here and here is unbeatable. And so,
True. I believe that what you are saying is really true, even here,
yeah,
because even here in Italy, in Europe, we are facing some political challenges as well, I would say. I feel like that it's a pretty worldwide thing that is happening
yeah,
right now, but
yeah, because it's easier to manipulate someone who doesn't know who they are. And so these governments will try and strip all your self-identity and self-knowledge so that they can start molding you into what they want you to be.
yeah.
And so, yeah, we're just going to raise kids that pull the finger to the authorities that don't align with how we think, how we are,
Yeah.
how we be.
Yeah. So now we are heading towards the final part of our kōrero. So I would like to ask you, how do you feel about the terms moko and kirituhi? And it's always the same question, but it's so interesting to hear what the kaita has to say about it, and even what you think about non-Maori people receiving moko.
Yep. I did a interview for a TV show, and one of the questions came up about what is Māori art, what is Māori design, and I answered. I said, people who understand the depth of knowledge and versus people who do not understand the depth of knowledge, that to me is moko. People who understand the depth of knowledge. People who come into my studio only receive moko, regardless of genealogy, regardless of history. You will come into my studio because the process I put in place to receive the markings is the same for everybody. I don't care if you're a 60-year-old uncle or a 15-year-old coming in for your first piece. We're going to have a cup of tea. We're going to have a conversation, and then we go into the studio after. Everybody who comes to my studio takes on moko. I have no worries about where that person is from, as long as their heart and their mind are pure and walking with intention and understand that they have a responsibility to the markings, that they are not to take on the markings and walk around like they're all big and tough, like, oh, check out my work. Nah. And I've refused marking people. I absolutely have refused and will continue to refuse because their mindset is not moko aligned.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's where I come from in terms of marking people. I don't care what nationality you are. What I will not do is faces and bodysuits of non-Māori.
It makes sense.
Yeah, faces and bodysuits will be for us only.
Makes sense.
Kirituhi, I think, it was coined in the 90s by the people I looked up to, the Jedis of moko, or I call them, people who I still absolutely admire and just love them to bits, because they're the ones that carve the path for people like myself and a lot of others that are in your interviews. So when they coined that phrase, I was like, oh, yeah, cool. But it was just to make a point, really, about non-Māori receiving versus Māori receiving, because there was a lot of noise about that. You had the likes of Robbie Williams taking on moko, which was a big, back when he did it, everyone was like, what the hell? And Te Rangitu, who's an amazing artist, he's amazing.
Yeah.
When he did that, man, it just blew up. And I was like, who am I to question Te Rangitu? He's the man. He's got a history of absolute amazing works. He's amazing. But so when Kirituhi came out, I was like, wow, okay, so it's Kirituhi, Moko. And then as you get older and understand a bit more, it's like, no, it's all Moko. Kirituhi was put in place for non-Māori to get it around their heads.
Yeah.
To say, I'm receiving Kirituhi, not Moko, therefore I am not wedded to the depth of knowledge that comes with it. So actually, no, you're wedded, sorry, bro, because I'm about to pierce your skin and draw blood. This is Moko.
Yeah, actually, Te Rangitu was the first kaita who agreed to be. But back then, Into the Skin was just a university project, and the episodes of the Moko Journey weren't really a thing. It was an idea that came after, and he was the first one who agreed, because I know that now he's back in Aotearoa, but back then he was still in England.
Yeah.
And yeah, and the thing, and he also said, oh, I don't buy into the Kirituhi thing. And but I don't know, I saw a comment some time ago under that video I made with him, and someone said, oh, he doesn't represent my culture. I don't know why he was so angry to him. I don't know if there was some backstory, or I don't know.
Yeah, personal opinion or a personal grievance. Like, how dare he be so skillful? I'm going to not like him.
Yeah, but he was really awesome to be a part of it from day one. So
awesome.
Yeah. So of course, the other question that I do always is, what do you think about non-Maori people doing Maori tattoos, doing Moko? But of course, I pretty much think that we answered to that. It's pretty no.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I get the love for the design aesthetic. I get it. You know, and people still think we are the exotic South Seas, South Pacific peoples. But no, we've got teeth. We've got teeth, and we will raise issues where we need. So non-Māori doing our design aesthetic, like I said in the beginning, they don't understand the struggle for language. They don't understand that the struggle for land reclamation, all of that stuff. They're just doing it because they love it and they can make a bit of coin out of it. But they don't have the depth of knowledge.
You know, the other thing that I pretty much understood from the outside, speaking with other people who liked, who had an interest for Pacific cultures, actually, they always tell me that they feel that Maori are, amongst the Pacific people, are the more close ones. While, for example, Samoans are more open and they share their knowledge also with foreign artists and things like this. So there is this perception.
Yeah. Give me a sec. Telling the child to shut up.
I saw it.
Yeah. We have this concept in New Zealand, in our language, called kaitiakitanga, which means guardianship. And we take that role very seriously. Because guardianship of what? Guardianship of depth of knowledge? Yes. Guardianship of where these design works come from? Yes. And the reason we are guarded about them is because those are very sacred stories, very sacred understandings that, and it goes right back to the Peter Parker stuff. With great power comes great responsibility. My responsibility is to the markings and to the genealogy of those markings. Just because you want to know what they are doesn't mean you will get access to know what they are. And we've had an American tattooer saying, oh, the Maoris, man, they're quite militant in their approach to not telling anybody. And we're like, yeah, get used to that. because we're not about to give up anything to someone we A, don't know, B, doesn't know us, C, assumes they can just come and take, because we know why they're there. They're coming to take so they can take it back to where they're from and say, oh, this means growth. I learned that from a Maori shaman. You know, you're like, oh, these bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
And so, that sort of stuff does my head in. And so that's why we're guarded. And that's why when we take on students, we push them. We test them first. We don't just say, yeah, come in, I'll teach you. We test them. My first student, she came to my studio, and a woman, she was 15, 16. She walked in and says, I want to learn how to tattoo. I went, well, go to a tattoo parlor. We don't do tattoos here. She looked around and she went, it looks a lot like you do tattoos in here. Left, came back the next day. Says, I want to learn how to do moko. Told me two things. She's persistent and clever. You know what I mean? She's gone away and gone, I asked the wrong question.
Yeah, she
and got
thought
the wrong
about
answer.
it.
She thought about it, came back, and then I tested her again. I need your language skills to go up, please. And I want you to explain to me what this word is. You know, those sort of things. Explain to me what this word is. What do you understand about this word? What is your understanding of these concepts that are connected to this word? So we test our students. Because the Māori word for student is tauira. The Māori concept of tauira isn't student, though. The Māori concept of tauira is a shining example. So your shining example is only as shiny as you make it. If you're sending out a mediocre example, that's on you as the teacher.
No way.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say, what is the difference between a tauira and an apprentice? Tattooists will say, oh, my apprentice mops the floor, sets up for me, breaks down for me, gets the coffees, resupplies the rooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my job. My tauira is there to learn. My tauira is there to gain more knowledge and more confidence. Together, as a collective, we'll do the mopping, do the breakdowns, do the coffee runs. They are not below us. They are not below us. They are not above us. We are not below them. We are not above them. We are of the same journey. I am a shining example of my teacher. My tauira is the shining example of everything I'm trying to instill into them. That's the concept stuff that people don't get. So yeah, that's why I say language is important.
It is. Well, thank you so much.
No, you are welcome.
For sharing all of this knowledge actually here. It was really actually an honor for me to have you on this episode. So yeah, if you want to say a couple of words to the people who will see this episode, maybe on how to approach or whatever you feel like to.
Now, firstly, you know, tuatahira kia koe te tuahine I tō pōhiri mai ki au, kia noho tahi mai kia koe me te whakawhiti kōrero, whakawhiti whakaaro. Kia puawai tēnei taonga tata ko te māramatanga ki ngā mahi a ngā mātua tupuna, tēnā koe. Just an acknowledgement to you for inviting me onto the interview, so that we can converse, share words, share thoughts, for a common understanding. So thank you very much. I think, you know, my final word to anybody is don't be afraid, but don't be lazy.